What is happening, sports fans? It's your main man, Matt, from the DFS 5-Pack. Rocking it Wednesday during the baseball all-star break. Wanted to start our football stuff, so I know my partner Ryan and I are really pumped to be starting our football previews, and we each want to get on here and make a couple videos about players that we like a lot. So how could I not start this with my boy DeAndre Hopkins, who was a fantasy god for me last year? There is no doubt that this is my top guy in fantasy football. He's my favorite guy. He's a guy I love. So if I'm a little biased, I apologize. But after looking over some composite rankings, specifically ESPN rankings, and seeing Hopkins as the number 9 overall player in PPR, I think that's an injustice, and I had to get on here and vouch for my dog. So last year, Hopkins put up 1,378 yards. He had 96 catches, 13 tutties, and he did that on 176 targets. Plain and simple, this dude was a beast. And the best part about it is he only had Deshaun Watson for 6 games. Now, another guy that I will make a video on is going to be Deshaun Watson, because he's another guy I think is being heavily underrated. Because when he played last year, he wasn't just the best quarterback in fantasy football. He was by far the best quarterback in fantasy football, averaging about 28 points per game in ESPN scoring formats in their standard scoring. Other guys, usually are around the 21-point range. So that's a big difference right there. It's about a third more points that Watson scored. And we saw Hopkins put up these numbers with the likes of Tom Savage, et cetera, guys that aren't real NFL quarterbacks. When Watson was there, the Watson-Hopkins combination was one of the better ones in football, and I predicted going into this year that they would be the top quarterback-wide receiver combo in fantasy football. I will stick to that. I like DeAndre Hopkins as my number 1 wide receiver in fantasy football. Now, I get it. If you like Antonio Brown, I'm not going to argue with you. Even if you like Julio Jones, in a bounce-back year, I'm not going to argue with you. But for me, where my money's at, it's going to be DeAndre Hopkins. And a little piece of advice I like to give people when they're doing year-long fantasy drafts is you can look at rankings until you're blue in the face. You can look at ESPN, Yahoo, et cetera, et cetera. You can look at all these different rankings. But the margin of difference for these guys is small. So really you should draft who you want. It doesn't matter if a guy's ranked 9th and you draft 4th overall. Really makes no difference, because the day after the draft, an hour after the draft, where you drafted that guy has little relevance. It's about where you're at in week 8, week 9, moving forward, not where you're at right after your draft. So take who you want. For me, it's going to be DeAndre Hopkins. I love the Watson-Hopkins combination. I'm going to ride that hard this year. How could I not, after he won me a bunch of fantasy football leagues last year with that amazing Monday night performance against Pittsburgh? Had to start it off with some DeAndre Hopkins. As you can tell, guys, I'm pumped. Can't wait for football. Baseball is my sport, but as you guys know, it is a grind. It's long. We're doing about 10, 11 slates a week. It's a grind. It's mentally exhausting. It's physically exhausting. I can't wait for the All-Star break to be over on Friday. I know there's one game Thursday, but we jump real back into the madness on Friday. Can't wait for the second half of baseball, but in the back of my mind, football's coming. Can't wait for those cool fall days, college football, NFL. We're pumped over here. Drafts will be starting soon. We got a special promotion for the 5-Pack right now. If you sign up at all in the month of July, it's only $79.99. That's a hell of a bargain. We made a video yesterday going over what you get, so be sure to catch Ryan's channel and check that out. And I'll be back with more content for you guys. Thanks again.